This is the Bring Back Soul Music Podcast, the only podcast devoted to making soul music relevant again. Let's get started with your host, Todd Woodson.
Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Bring Back Soul Music Podcast. My special guest today is a talented singer-songwriter out of Chicago, Illinois. Her name is K Soul, Miss Soul, S-O-U-L. How are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Welcome to the Bring Back Soul Music Podcast. The pleasure is all mine.
Thank you.
Okay. So you have a new album, or that's dropping May 15th. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit. I know you're excited about that. But before we do that, tell us a little bit about K Soul.
I've been singing and writing pretty much my whole life. I started pursuing it professionally. This is what I want to do. I would say about 2012. So just been really going hard since then. I believe that my music and my gift is about healing people and inspiring others. I've been through a lot, so I think that by sharing those stories, I can tap into other people and help other people find inspiration and find healing through the things that they've been through.
Okay. And definitely when I listen to your music, I can definitely, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I can definitely hear the gospel influence in your music. And I'm sure that was intentional. But did you come from a musical family, or how did the interest in music come about?
Not a musical family. Actually, to the contrary, quite frankly, I was raised by my grandmother, and she really thought that music was more of a pipe dream. But I was raised in the church, though. So a lot of singing in the choir. Of course, you in church all the time, so it's a lot of singing anyway. But we weren't allowed to listen to secular music, so I would sneak, try to listen to it on low, because I really loved R&B music at the time. But music just became kind of my escape, kind of my safe space, even in church. Not saying that I didn't like the preaching, but it was when the choir sang that I really felt it, that it really touched my heart. So that was always something that I connected to from a very young age.
Okay. And you mentioned just a couple minutes ago that that music played a big part. When did you decide that, hey, I want to do this for a living?
It was always a dream. I used to sit on my porch. I can remember as early as the 6th grade, writing songs, making my cousins, my friends sing the harmonies. So it was always something that I wanted to do. I actually did a college writing course when I was younger, because writing was always a passion. So I think, but for not really having the support, I probably would have tried to pursue it at that time, because I used to sing in the mall or be the kid oh, let's sing such and such new song, and so it was always something I wanted to do. I just didn't really have the support to say, okay, oh, she's talented, let's push her in that direction.
Okay. And we mentioned the gospel aspect. Who were some of your early influences?
That's a great question. I've always been a fan of Stevie Wonder. My grandfather loved Lena Horne, so that put me into a lot of the early jazz. Duke Ellington, Miles Davis, Michael Jackson, of course. Mahalia Jackson was, from a vocal perspective, that she just had that ability to kind of get into your heart with her voice. So those are some of my favorites.
Okay. And what about now? Who are some of your influences?
I mean, definitely that same list for sure. I love some of the newer artists. I really liked Floor Tree, that whole area, of course, Jill Scott, NDRE. I do love hip hop, Drake, Jay-Z, Nas. So, I kind of pull from a lot of that.
Okay. I can definitely hear some Jill Scott in you as well. Okay, so tell us about this new project that's coming out May 15th.
Okay, so May 15th is actually just the single from the new project.
Oh, I'm sorry, the single.
Yeah.
Okay.
The new album is about being broken and beautiful. I think oftentimes it's hard to believe that one can go with the other, or if you've been through so much in life and you deal with like shame or fear, those things tend to take away from you feeling that you're beautiful, not just on the outside, but inwardly as well. So that's the theme running through this album, and the first single, Blood in My Veins, is kind of the very beginning of that, and kind of talking about something that's kind of dark, but really wanted to encourage my fans to find beauty in their broken spaces, that even when you're in those spaces, there's a way to pull strength from that to grow and to get better.
Okay. So did that come from perhaps some insecurity, growing up, or where did that come from?
Which part exactly?
Well, you said that it's broken and beauty. And what I take from that is that perhaps you were down at some point and you uplifted yourself. So I'm just trying to figure the meaning behind the project.
Yes, I think that is definitely the underlying meaning. It is part of my story in general. I mean, I was born to teen parents who were not, in a position to take care of me. And so, there was like rejection and abandonment right out the gate. So when you're born into that type of brokenness, born into this idea that, nobody really wants you, yeah, it can be hard to find something beautiful in all of that, and to lift up and move forward past that and believe that you are better than whatever those circumstances may be.
Okay. And so obviously the single is called Blood in My Veins, but do you have a title for the album, and when will the album come out?
Yes, the album title is In My Mind, and the plan is for a mid-August release. Initially, it was set for August 15th. So, but kind of with COVID and everything going on, there's been some delay in the recording process, but I'm still hoping to stick to that, if not, not be too far behind that. Okay.
And so this is not your first album. What album number is this?
This will actually be project number 4, project number 3 that I've actually released to the public.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about some more of your previous work?
My previous work, well, I first did a mixtape, I want to say. I released that in 2014 after I did a couple of singles. And that was more as I began to try to experiment, with my sound and build that confidence of actually releasing music. And but then when I came back around, I did a project in 2015 called Deeper. And that project was me wanting to kind of do my own thing as far as the music was concerned. I had a lot of people telling me oh, you should be, do Jill Scott stuff, and or it was the complete opposite of, oh, be really urban, do club bangers, So deeper, I call that like my rebellious project, because it was like, I wanna do what I feel in my heart, what I'm feeling with the music. And then H.I.P.S, which was my release from 2017, that was kind of a dual meaning. H.I.P.S, which is hiding in plain sight. My grandmother used to always say that a woman carries like her secrets and her wisdom in her hips. And so in H.I.P.S, I did a lot of commentary just about love and about life and the state of the world. And As I Am was the first single off of that, because I wanted to like do something that was bold and powerful and like really stand in it to set the tone for the record. Like, I'm presenting myself to you as I am, like with no gimmicks, no, no special formulas. I'm just presenting myself to you exactly how I am.
Okay. And so are you a completely independent artist? Are you signed to a label or?
Right now I'm completely independent. I do have like one of my songs, Time to Fly, is signed to Rahigu Music. So that does some mass distribution. I work with a couple of entertainment companies, but as far as like having a major record deal, I do not.
Okay. Which is fine. I mean, most of the artists we interview are independent artists. The previous projects or albums, you promoted those independently, I'm assuming, as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Now, Blood in My Veins. I heard it. I loved it.
Thank you.
It reminded me of a gospel song. Was that, am I off there, or am I reading that correctly?
You are. It definitely was meant to have some gospel elements. The organ was picked purposely for that. So yes.
Okay. Well, I love it. I think it's a great song. Now, is the rest of the album, is it similar to that, or is it, do you go in different directions and sort of bring it all together, or what can we expect from this new upcoming album?
I definitely go in some different directions. The theme that I wanted to pull from just the music part of it was kind of this dark and light sound. I'm talking about some dark stuff, but, I can put some pretty melodies on it, but then the music, part of it can kind of be that clash. So like with Blood in My Veins, you got this organ, like you said, that's very church, that puts you right in that religious mind, but then you got this electric guitar that's just hitting you in the back, and you don't always think of those two things together. So that's kind of what you can expect going forward.
Okay. And you mentioned a few minutes ago that you love hip hop as well. Is there a little hip hop on this album as well?
Yes.
So this album covers pretty much everything, right?
Yes, because that's part of who I am. I'm a student of the culture. I don't like to be boxed in. I know that from my appearance, and I do admit that probably even from I guess a majority of my music, you get more of that R&B, soul, but I don't like to be boxed into just like that's all that I can do, or that's the only way that I can present myself. So this album is kind of stretching myself to do more and to try some different type of mashups, if you will, with my music. Oh,
definitely. And that's actually pretty good as well, because now you have something for everybody on the album. So, and you're exposing people to, I don't really follow hip hop too closely, but there's an album that has influences of gospel and R&B and hip hop that I'm more apt to listen to it all. So great job. So this album, is it almost completed, or where are you at with that?
Yes, actually, I'm about 12 songs in of songs that I actually think will make the album. There are a few that I'm kind of, I don't know. Still some more recording I want to do. So with everything that's going on with the pandemic, I have a home setup that's pretty decent. So I've kind of been doing some stuff here and then sending files to my engineer and producers. And we've kind of still been trying to move things forward that way. But yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
How long you been working on it?
I want to say it's been over a year, because I feel like I started writing this album last year about this time, maybe a little earlier. It may have been earlier in the winter, but I feel like, I knew I wanted to do a new project. I knew it was time, but I feel like that's when I really started like thinking about what I wanted to say and how I wanted to say it, and so.
All right, Kate, we're going to take a break and we're going to play a snippet of Blood in My Veins. This is Blood in My Veins by K-Soul.
Continue our episode after this message. Swag at shop.bringbacksoulmusic.com. Now, back to our conversation.
All right, Kay. Great song. Now let's get into more of Blood in My Veins. What else can you tell us about that song?
Man. I think this is one of my more personal records, which was definitely the objective for this particular project. It's really about the beginning of my life. If you go back to my EP Deeper, I had a song on there called Green Street. And I referenced that particular song in Blood in My Veins. Now, it's not a thing where you have to listen to one to understand the other, but it's one of those things that I think with any artist, as you build your catalog, you go back and forth as you tell these stories. And it's really sharing the darkness that I think that I was born into, but I think from a side of hope. I think I'm singing it with this idea that this is what did happen, but I got out of that, so there's hope. You can get into the sunlight,
Okay, I see this as probably a very inspirational, song too, and I think it might be relatable to many people who go through, dark times and bring themselves out of it. So, well, that's good there. And now I mentioned you're from Chicago, and just looking at all the artists that have come out of that area, wow, I didn't realize there were so many artists that came out of Chicago, which is amazing. What's the music scene like for soul and R&B in Chicago now?
It's a very underground scene. There are definitely a lot of dope artists that are doing, open mics and weekly showcases and things like that. But unfortunately, I still think our weakness is that it can still be very clicked up.
What do you mean by that? Clicked up?
It can be hard to tap into a different circle here or there, because there are already, people that like each other and work with each other and do different and support each other. So, when you're like new or you're not necessarily in a group per se of people, it can be a little difficult to get that level of support that you might want. Like you may see, like with Atlanta, people often talk about how Atlanta, like they support and rally around their artists. And that's not always the case in Chicago, even though the talent here is immense.
Okay. Is it because there's so much talent in Chicago that people have to, pick and choose who they're going to work with, or what do you think that comes from?
I think some of it is just the culture of music in Chicago dating back years and years. It's kind of always been a very cutthroat city, period, in a lot of industries, but especially, in the music industry. Money talks. a lot of times. So I don't think that part of it has changed that much. It may not be as, like you would see in a movie, but, it's still kind of a lot of that same energy. And then I do think there is a lot of talent, and it may be hard, as they say, everybody can't go. Right. So that, there's that part of it too.
Okay. How do you navigate the waters between that? How do you understand that it's a cliquish sort of town? But how do you go about, outside talent wise, how do you go about standing out?
That's a great question.
Thank you. That's what I do. My answer to that might change depending on the day. Some days I don't really feel like I stand out. But other days, when I'm not really thinking about that part of it and just focused on what it is that I bring to the table, I feel like no one does K-Soul the way K-Soul does it. And I've performed at a lot of different venues, not just in the city, but in other states and, for different events. And so, you get to the point where, as my vocal coach would say, you become undeniable. You may not be their favorite, you may not be the leader of the clique, but what you bring to the table becomes undeniable. So that's what I try to focus on. I try to focus on being undeniable and hope that the consistency of my work product will allow me to stand out. Okay. So cream rises to the top, right? So just keep pushing. Now, producers that you worked with on this particular project, was it just one producer in particular, or did you work with an array of different producers?
I have a couple of producers that I work with pretty consistently across all of my projects. I did bring a new producer in. His name is E. He actually was an intern when I did my EP Deeper in 2015. He was the engineer's intern, but he was super talented. He was really instrumental in that project. So when I thought about this project, I wanted to also, you want to go back to your tried and true, of course, because you don't have time to be playing around. People don't know what they doing. But then I also was thinking about, I want some fresh energy too. I want another ear, to listen and that may be able to add something. So I've been working with him. It's been great. The guy, Anthony Smith, that produced Blood in My Veins, he's amazing. He understands my sound really well. He also has done stuff on my last couple projects. And then Chris Steinmetz, who he's worked with some of the bigger names, your Rihannas, your Kanye West, your R. Kelly's. And he's actually been a mentor to me for maybe the last 4 or 5 years. So he really was instrumental in helping me not just develop my sound, but I think just develop the confidence that's needed to record on a record and sell that energy.
Okay.
He really helped me with the vocal production side of it.
Okay. And so far so good. You're pretty satisfied with the way the album is coming about?
Oh man, I'm excited. I can hear it. Nobody's heard it yet, not even them, because they only hear their stuff. Right. But I have it all on a playlist. So I'm listening to it, and I'm really, when you have these songs and, you're writing, or I have voice notes, I might wake up in the night and all type of random stuff, how you put stuff together. You never know how it's going to turn into, like, okay, how is this actually going to turn into a real song? So to start to hear it all together, I'm really excited.
Okay. And earlier you said you were about 12 tracks in. How many tracks are going to be on the album total? Do you have any idea?
I don't.
No? Okay.
I don't. I don't. There were 13 tracks on my last album.
Okay.
Now, 3 of them were interludes, but the interludes kind of told a story.
Right.
So I don't know.
Okay. Okay. So, with everything going on with COVID, has that delayed? It probably makes sense that it's been delaying, getting out there and showcasing your talent, but also the release of the album, was that affected by COVID as well?
It has been, it's been difficult. Thankfully I had done a lot of sessions at the big studio already, so we had some pretty good vocals to go ahead and at least get some things finalized. And of course we had recorded the single, so that was a good thing, because if we hadn't recorded that, then that might have been a real issue. But I think now it's just not being able to perform live. Like the last show I did was March 15th, and that almost didn't happen because the next day the governor shut down everything. So I was like, wow, that was, I got in by the skin of my teeth. And of course the studio's closed now. So, but I'm just trying to stay positive. I think COVID can kind of mess with you from a mental perspective too. So I'm trying to stay positive. I don't know if it will delay the album. It could, because I've just lost, 45 days of professional recording time. Right. So, I don't want to compromise the sound either by trying to rush out something. So we'll just have to kind of play it by ear.
Okay. A song that I really liked when I was doing research on you is called As I Am. What project is that from?
That is from my album Hiding in Plain Sight.
Okay. Yeah, I really like that. It's sort of similar, I think, to Blood in My Veins, but different, In that song, what were you trying to relay?
As I Am, actually when I went to my mentor and I said, I want to write a power ballad. I need something where I got some things I want to say. I was feeling very much in a space of like I needed to prove myself.
Okay.
You know how you're working hard but you still got people questioning you and you're like, what? No. So I think As I Am was that stance, and I started thinking about just every time in my life that I was made to like feel like I wasn't enough, and knowing that I know people go through that, and just and I just wanted to have like this anthem to be like, no, don't try to change me. You take me as I am. So that's where that song came from.
Okay, great. And this album, this single that's coming out May 15th, where can people purchase that out?
It will be in all the streaming outlets, so Apple Music, Google Play, Spotify, Tidal, iHeartRadio, wherever people are downloading their music, they'll be able to find it there.
Okay. And you said the album is forthcoming later on this year, hopefully. If I guess that a lot of that depends on where we are with COVID, maybe. I'm not sure.
I know, but I'm keeping the faith because it's coming, because it's got to come.
Yeah, I hear you. Now you do have a website, ksoulmusic.com. And so if you want to find out more information about you can go there. And what's the name of your YouTube channel?
It's just K-Soul.
K-Soul, okay.
2 letters, yep. And then you can find that. And that's got like video blogs that I've done, performances, music videos. So yeah. Okay.
Well, Kay, it was great meeting you. Is there anything you want to add before we call it a day here?
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for reaching out.
Yeah, it's, just trying to get the word out there. And this is another platform that I can support for other artists as well, too, and let them know about. Just encouraging everybody to try to stay positive. and stay focused, because this too shall pass.
Yeah, I agree. Well said. K-Soul, I appreciate you taking the time today.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. And you have a great day.
All right, you too.
All right, that's K-Soul on the Bring Back Soul Music podcast, and we'll be right back.
Calling all lovers of soul music. The time to make soul music relevant again is now. You've been listening to the Bring Back Soul Music podcast with Todd Woodson. If you enjoyed today's show, be sure to tell a friend. Make sure you never miss an episode by subscribing to our newsletter at bringbacksoulmusic.com.
Well, that's our show for today. I'd like to thank my special guest, Miss K-Soul. You can find out more about K on her website at ksoulmusic.com. We'll also have links to K-Soul and all her social media sites on our website at bringbacksoulmusic.com, and also in the show notes of this video on our YouTube channel, Bring Back Soul Music TV. Don't forget, you can listen to the Bring Back Soul Music podcast on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Bring Back Soul Music TV. If you have any questions or comments, please email us at comments@bringbacksoulmusic.com. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Todd Woodson. See you next week.